Hey everyone, thanks again for tuning in. We're going to take a look at a custom knife, and it's been a while since I've shared any custom knives on the channel. If you guys have watched my videos for any length of time, you know that I typically avoid them just due to the availability and price for most people are both out of reach. But Craig Brown of Brown Eyes is someone that I have followed since the very beginning. I've owned several of his customs. I currently own one of his models. And I've experienced every model that he's produced. So it's always fun to kind of get a new one in hand, see how he's progressing, see kind of what ideas he's throwing around and what he's developing. And this new model, the Cortex, again, is a continuation of all the things he's learned and an emphasis on essentially hiding the flipper tabs. So let's take a look at this one. Ships with his little case. I don't know, doesn't matter. It's a nice case. It'll protect the knife, and hopefully you'll put it in your pocket and use it. But this is the Cortex model, and this model, as compared to, like, let's say his last model, here's my LHC-X with some really cool purple carbon fiber. This one has a standard flipper tab, and this one has what he calls a top flipper. There have been some other knives that utilize a similar system, although it's far less common than, you know, your standard flipper tab or even front flippers. So sits just on top of the knife, and it gives you kind of a different way to open it. It'll function just like a flipper, essentially. Just wrap your finger around instead of having it back here. Not a big deal. Or you can, you know, open it almost like a front flipper with your thumb. And while open, that top flipper disappears completely. So again, low profile. His has a ton of nice machining on it, of course, being that he is a one-man shop, a CNC maker out of Washington. That sounds right. Yeah, pretty sure it's Washington. I should know that off the top of my head, but it's been a long day. So let's look at the specs, and then we'll just kind of take a look at this one in a bit more detail here. I'm going to grab the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Why? Because I think almost everyone has one. We'll grab the Kershaw Dividend, because almost everyone should have one of these. Alright, so pretty close in line with the Dividend, to be honest. This knife is actually quite a bit smaller than I initially thought. Just based on the pictures, a very reasonable size at 3.4 inches, handle length of about 4.35 inches, overall 7.75. It does use CPM 154, which is the powdered metal version of 154 CM. So it's a good steel. Please know your steels before you go and comment in the comments that, anyways, know your steels. Blade stock is coming in on my calipers at 149 thousandths, 0.149 inches. But it does utilize a full flat grind. So here's the thing that's really interesting on this knife. Thickness behind the edge, as measured with my calipers, is 0.015 inches, which is incredibly thin behind the edge. You know, he's taking that full flat grind and really taking advantage of it. You know, again, keep in mind a knife like the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, which is also a full flat grind, behind the edge is 0.025 inches. This one is 0.015 inches. So super thin behind the edge. It's a really nice slicer. It takes full advantage of that full flat grind. So yeah, definitely a focus on slicing performance. And it has kind of a reverse Tonto blade shape. That's what I'm going to refer to it as. I'm not sure if Craig does, but yeah, ceramic bearings, ceramic detent. He makes his own bearings. Yeah, so that's that. Let's move these out of the way, and again, I'm going to show you real quick what it looks like next to the LHC-X, his previous model, and again, that one's mine. So I think they're pretty much exactly the same size. A slight difference, obviously, in terms of design, but you know, you can see the design language kind of flowing through between these two here. So Yeah, still in love with this model. Absolutely love it. Just super simple, super clean, very well executed. Action second to none. All right, time for close-ups. So he does a really nice stone wash on these. We have a swedge running across the top, and then the top is it's flat, but everything's chamfered super nice. So some really nice machining on the blade here. Everything's very comfortable. There's the plunge. We'll work around the opening hole. Look at the top flipper here. So again, some pretty intricate machining on this one, really showing what he can do with the CNC machine, even onto the bolsters here. Very cool. His custom pivot, which is recessed into the handle. Torx hardware. He doesn't make the screws, but they're made to his specs. And these are really nice. It's really nice hardware, and you know that because when you put in the Torx driver, it just clamps in. You know, it just locks in super tight. There's no movement. So really nice hardware. Let's look at how the so really cool blue carbon fiber here. From far away, honestly, you don't really see the blue that much. It looks like a standard carbon fiber, but under the right lighting or when you examine it, you get these really nice flecks of blue throughout. So it's a nice touch. So trying to give you guys as much in terms of close-ups as we can here. He did utilize a spring clip on this one as opposed to, well, it's a 3D or hybrid spring clip. So started off as essentially a big piece of titanium, milled it out, and then he had to go in and bend it. So it's a combination of a 3D clip and a spring clip. So you get the best of both, as opposed to the previous, just 3D milled clip here. And this is actually something that I talked to him about. I kind of in a way challenged him to do it, or I talked about it being the most functional clip and kind of the best of both worlds. Because it functions like a spring clip, but it's not just a lazy spring clip. So, and he executed very well. You know, if you give him an idea and he thinks it's worth considering, he dives in 100% on it. So, let's look at how that fits. He did some milling here on the inside of the back spacer, so on the outside, but he went the extra mile. Did some milling on the inside. If you can see that right there, that's actually some milling. It's a picture of a brain, and this being the Cortex, that was his kind of ode to the design. Then, can't remember what it says on the inside. I think it says, oh yeah, I think it's Blaine. It says Blaine, Washington, USA, exactly where it's made, on the inside too. So again, he put some of the information on the inside. Very nice touch. Obviously the clip is attached internally. Just look how clean everything is in there. Super clean. So, stainless steel lock insert, of course. There's the lock bar. Let's look at how this top flipper swivels around. So, like so, and it disappears. I don't know if you guys can see that, into a pocket. And it rests in the pocket. Now, the flipper tab going into that internal pocket, it doesn't function as part of the lockup, so it's not like locking in the flipper tab as well. The lock bar is not. It needed a pocket to rest in. And I hope you guys can see that, because again, just some, again, just a compliment to his machining and engineering capabilities. So let's look at the action. Really smooth. and I hopefully I went through all the specs, but this thing does weigh 2.72 ounces, so very lightweight, but it doesn't feel dainty at all. It still feels very strong, very capable, but it is certainly a lighter weight knife. Alright, now the opening hole is, depending on hand size, functional. So there's the thumb, got the middle finger flick. Of course I screwed up on camera. So you can, again, if depending on hand size or dexterity, that may or may not work for you. It works just fine for me. I do prefer just using my first finger and rocketing that thing out. So the thumb too, again, I can get it to work. Just need to have enough leverage, but no problem at all. So prices on these seem to start around $750. Again, as you add options, the price goes up. The way that he is selling these days seems to be, for the most part, just he'll do a drop on his website, and you can sign up on his email or subscription list, and so you'll be notified when the next drop is coming and possibly what's coming up in the drop. I'm not entirely sure, but that's a really good way if you're interested in his work or these models to kind of be in the know and see what's going on. He does post also pictures, and he posts on his story on Instagram, so you can see what he's working on, and obviously he'll put if he's doing a drop there too. But that's how he's doing, you know, most of the releases these days. I'm not sure if he may still be doing some custom orders. I think those are by Lotto as well. But again, I'll put a link to his website. His website is updated frequently, and so the information is relevant. Thankfully, not everyone does a good job of that in these days when there's so much going on social media. So anyways, this is the Cortex by Craig Brown. Pretty cool design, outstanding execution, you know, kind of a high-end CNC made by one guy in one shop type of knife for whatever kind of role you deem this thing. So the Cortex, the LHC-X, and it'll be interesting to see what he cooks up next. Craig is someone who he's very, very interested in constant quality improvement, CQI. So sometimes he will find improvements to make, you know, mid-cycle while he's working on a current model, or while he goes and develops a new model, he's implementing new ideas, new concepts, better machining, better execution, more complicated machining. So it's really cool to always see him improve and to see his knives continue to get better and better. So, you know, while his first knives were quite impressive, and then, you know, when he started out with the parabolic, which was an integral, was very impressive, the execution has improved tremendously on these new models. So anyways, again, links will be down below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed taking a look at this CNC custom knife, whatever classification you want to give it. One guy in his shop making these one at a time. And if you want to see more custom videos or more videos on custom knives, you know, feel free to let me know. And if there's enough interest, you know, then I'll certainly focus on that. If you guys prefer to see production stuff, then that's certainly fine too. Nothing wrong with that. So yeah, that is that. Again, thanks for watching daily content on Instagram. Give me a like if you enjoyed the video, and more videos to come. See you guys.